All right, today we're going to dive into a really cool new tool from Google that could honestly change how you work with data. It's called LangExtract, and its whole mission in life? To find that clean, structured signal. You know, the good stuff, buried inside all that messy, chaotic text we all have to deal with. So, let's see how it actually works.
Have you ever had that feeling? You know you're staring at a mountain of text. Could be anything, right? Clinical notes, dense financial reports, maybe even a whole novel. And you just know the answer you need, that one key piece of info, is buried in there somewhere. But trying to get a computer to find it, yeah, it feels exactly like this, searching for a tiny needle in a giant, overwhelming haystack. It's not just frustrating, it can literally stop a project dead in its tracks.
And look, this isn't some rare niche problem. Unstructured text is, well, it's everywhere. But the real kicker, the thing that keeps people up at night, is reliability. How do you actually build something that can consistently, accurately pull out, say, a specific medication dose from a doctor's scribbled notes, or maybe a character's emotional state from a movie script, and do it without getting confused or just making stuff up? That's the real challenge, and it's a huge one. Well, okay, this is where our hero enters the scene. Google's LangExtract. It's a Python library and was built from the ground up to solve this exact problem. It cleverly uses the power of large language models, LLMs, to basically wrangle all that chaos and transform it into the clean, structured data you can actually use. So you might be thinking, okay, what's the big deal? What makes LangExtract so special? Well, it's definitely not just another text processing script. It has a few core advantages that, honestly, make it a total game changer if you work with text data. Let's dig into them. First up is something called precise source grounding, and really this is all about trust. Think about it. LangExtract doesn't just throw an answer at you and say, "Trust me." No way. It shows you its work. Every single piece of data it pulls out is tied directly back to the exact spot it came from in the original text. So you can instantly check its work, you can verify everything, and that is absolutely crucial when accuracy and reliability are on the line. Okay, next up, reliable structured outputs. Now, if you've ever tried to get an LLM to give you data in a nice, neat format, you know the pain. It can be a total mess, completely unpredictable. LangExtract fixes this. It forces the output to follow a consistent schema. Think of it like a template you define. It uses your own examples and some clever tech in models like Gemini to make sure the output is always robust and predictable. The bottom line, you get clean, machine-readable data every single time. No more writing complicated code just to clean up messy text. So remember that whole needle in a haystack thing we talked about? Well, this is how LangExtract finds the needle, even in a ridiculously big haystack. And this is a really big deal. See, most language models have what's called a context window, which just means they can only look at a certain amount of text at one time. LangExtract is smarter. It has this really clever strategy where it breaks up huge documents into manageable chunks, processes them all at the same time, in parallel, and can even go back over them to make sure it didn't miss anything. What does that mean for you? It means you can throw an entire novel or a massive report at it and it won't break a sweat. And now for what is, I gotta say, one of my favorite features. LangExtract doesn't just spit out a boring data file and call it a day. Nope. It can instantly generate a single, self-contained HTML file that is fully interactive. This lets you visually explore everything it found, highlighted right there in the original text. It makes checking your work, finding any issues, it just makes the whole process so much faster and more intuitive. It's awesome. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking, all right, this sounds really powerful, but is it going to be a nightmare to use? And the answer, happily, is no, not at all. LangExtract was designed to be super accessible. The whole thing boils down to just 3 simple steps. Yep, it's really this simple. 1, define your task. 2, run the extraction. 3, visualize the results. That's the whole workflow. Let's take a super quick look at what that actually looks like in the code. Step 1, defining the task. This is all about teaching the model what to do. You just write a simple, clear prompt that explains your goal. And then, and this is the most important part, you give it a high-quality example. You show it what a perfect extraction looks like. It's these examples that really guide the LLM and make sure you get exactly the results you're after. Step 2 is even easier. It's literally a single function call. You just hand over your text, your prompt, and your examples to the extract function. You tell it which model to use. And by the way, the default, Gemini 2.5 Flash, is a great starting point. It's a perfect mix of speed, cost, and quality. And finally, step 3, visualizing. You save the results, usually to a simple JSON-L file, and then you call visualize to generate that cool interactive HTML report. So think about that. In just a handful of lines of code, you've gone all the way from messy, raw text to a beautiful, fully annotated dataset that you can easily review. But don't let that simplicity fool you. Just because it's easy to get started doesn't mean it's a lightweight tool. LangExtract is absolutely built to scale and handle some seriously complex, real-world jobs. So what's with this number? 147,843. Well, that's how many characters are in the entire play Romeo and Juliet. For a normal language model, trying to process that all at once is, well, it's impossible. But for LangExtract, no problem. It can slurp down the entire play straight from a URL, use that clever parallel processing we talked about, and pull out hundreds of different pieces of information from the full text, all while staying incredibly accurate. That's the kind of power we're talking about here.
And here's another great thing. You're not locked into one company's ecosystem. LangExtract is all about flexibility. Sure, it has amazing support for Google's Gemini models, but it also works great with OpenAI models like GPT-4o. And for all of you who want total control or want to work offline, it even integrates with Llama, which lets you run powerful models right on your own local machine.
And you can see just how easy it is to switch between them. Most of the time, you're just changing one little parameter in the code, swapping out an API key or pointing it to a local URL. The library takes care of all the complicated stuff behind the scenes for you. All right, so as we start to wrap this up, what's the big picture? What's the main takeaway? It's really about this. Taking all that valuable data that's been trapped inside text files for years and finally unlocking it, making it accessible, making it useful, and most importantly, making it reliable. The official documentation has this great sign-off, happy extracting. And I just love that because it perfectly captures the spirit of this whole tool. It's all about empowering you. It's about making this really hard task of data extraction not just doable, but actually efficient and maybe, just maybe, even a little bit fun. And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? LangExtract takes something that is incredibly complex, finding structure in chaos, and boils it down to a process that is simple enough to get going in just a few minutes, completely verifiable because of that source grounding feature, and powerful enough to handle just about any real-world challenge you can throw at it. It's an amazing tool for any developer who's trying to make sense of text. So I'll leave you with a question. Think about all the text data in your world. All those reports, all those documents, all those logs. What hidden patterns, what valuable insights are just sitting there waiting to be discovered? Because with a tool like LangExtract, you might just have the key to finally unlock all of it. Thanks for joining me.